Let's talk about the level 4 lockdowns some more. I got some opinions on it, a little bit of information, and what I think is going on in the California Department of Corrections.
Welcome back to Broken Bobby's transformation page. In the late 80s, I became involved with drugs and would eventually become part of that lifestyle of trafficking, addiction, and violence. Over the next 20 years, I would be in and out of jail and prison. If you're thinking about trying something or you're dealing with addiction, your life don't need to go down the same path mine did. I hurt a lot of people, both physically and emotionally. These are my stories of how I transformed my life, and you can too. Let's get.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the title and the thumbnail, this is the level 4 lockdowns, an update, in my opinion. So, what got us here, right? If you don't know, if you haven't heard already, if you didn't see the last video, all level 4 prisons in the state of California are currently on lockdown. There's no visits. They're not allowed to have the tablets to make their phone calls. I don't know if they're getting mail or not. Food's being delivered to the door in the cells, and it's just a mess. Before we get too much into it, though, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and let me know what you think. Also, share the video. It really helps to grow the channel. And hit that notification bell so that anytime I go live or I drop a new video, you will be informed. Okay, so I believe it was the day before yesterday. CDCR basically locked down all the maximum security yards in the state. Maximum security in California is level 4. Now you have level 4 270 design and 180 design. What's the difference? It's like the angle. 180 is a straight design. Everything is in line of sight. And basically what it is they take that 270 design, which is more like that, I guess. Sorry, I'm not a mathematician, but I believe it's the same as the level 3 270 design. There ain't no level 3 180. But with the 180, it's divided into 3 sections, A, B, C, rather than it just being one big day room. Okay? So they locked down all these level 4 yards, and they haven't given an update as to when these lockdowns are going to end. Now, back when I was doing time, year-long lockdowns were a relatively normal thing uh, when there was issues between races. Uh, if the Southsiders and the blacks got into a riot, they were guaranteed to be locked down for 6 months. You could say whites, blacks, white Southsiders, whichever groups. The groups are irrelevant. But that's the way that it used to be. Then they did an end to hostilities agreement in Pelican Bay State Prison. When this agreement was signed, it said that there wouldn't be any major disturbances between the groups. And the people that agreed to that have upheld that. There haven't been any major disturbances between the groups, which would have warranted a long lockdown. Okay, so now, due to some incidents that have happened across the state, it's not isolated to one joint or two joints or something. Across the state, a bunch of stuff happened like in the last week. And, some of it was SNY, some of it was EOP, some of it was GP, and it was in different locations. EOP is extended outpatient, which basically means if you have mental problems or you're on meds, you're EOP. EOPs tend to be with SNYs. SNY is sensitive needs yard or protective custody, as many people may know it. Okay, so it's a broad spectrum across the place. And excuse me, and stuff was happening. But now, what is leading to all this? And what's going to happen if you keep these guys on an extended lockdown? Okay, in my opinion, what led up to this was California prison. They're doing this California model thing. And what California Department of Corrections has taken this stance that all inmates should be able to program together in peace. Keyword there, in peace, right? So when the end of hostilities agreement was signed, it was between the four groups in the general population of the California prisons. SNY, EOP, all that stuff is a whole different thing. So then California Department of Corrections got this bright idea that, okay, if these guys aren't going to fight anymore, let's start mixing in some EOPs and SNYs and trying to make these yards into 50-50 yards. Now, what a 50-50 yard is certain groups are active, certain groups aren't. Or at least they're not active by the standards of that yard, okay? I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on that one, but what California Department of Corrections has done within the last year or so is the Bulldogs were not a part of that agreement. So they started bringing Bulldogs onto active yards, and it didn't end well because the Department of Corrections wants this chaos. Okay? The thing is, if everything is going well, then it makes the end of hostilities agreement look like a wonderful success. So it seems as though the brass in the California Department of Corrections is doing everything they can to stir the pot. And, as a GP inmate, when I was doing time, there's certain people I would not program with. And that's, as far as I know, that still goes, I'm sure that still goes today for the GP inmates. If somebody's running around telling, then I can't program with you. If somebody has funny charges where they like children, if you know what I mean, I ain't fucking with you. I ended up in ADSEG over that because there was a guy, when I got bounced up to the level 3 at North Karn, we were on lockdown, and there was a guy that liked children. His cellie ended up being a piece of shit because he wouldn't deal with it. So when me and my cellie happened to be out on the tier for showers, that door cracked and they brought this piece of shit in. And we went and we jumped on him. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that because, I ended up in ADSEG. Like, it didn't make anything any better. But the thing is, I'm not going to program with people like that. And most GP inmates, 99.9% of GP inmates feel the same exact way. Excuse me again, that coffee's good. So that's what the California administration is trying to do. They're trying to mix in people that they know are not going to program together in order to create violence in the system. And that seems to be what they're doing. And now they have all the level 4s on lockdown. Now, I don't know if that's directly related to why these yards are on lockdown. There's been some press releases over the last week or so, and there's been a lot of stuff happening. Okay? But what happens when you have two men locked in a cell all day? I'll tell you from my experience, I had some good cellies, okay? But prison in general can be a stressful place. You never know what's going to happen out there, okay? Guards come in, they might shake up your cell, shake up your house, is the way we say it, and do a search and tear your shit up. And then you have to come in and put it all back together, and it's like supposed to be no big deal, I've been in situations where they come in and basically take everybody out of the housing unit out onto the yard and set you down while they tear up the whole house. They do things like this to make it as uncomfortable as possible and create tension between the groups. Because maybe the day before something may have happened with some inmate, and now people are thinking, oh well, they're shaking down the house because of that guy. And whether that be true or not, they do that kind of stuff to create that division and to create tension. And you might say, well, Bobby, why would they want tension? Doesn't that just make their job harder? Well, the Department of Corrections, I don't believe they were happy. They did not want to end the indeterminate shoes where people were locked away in solitary confinement for decades. Okay. So now that they lost that court case, I don't think they're happy about it. And they're doing everything they can to stir the pot to try to, void out the end of hostilities agreement. But I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't, I'm not in there. I don't have any inside information, but, being in prison sucks, period. Okay. The little things that we do get to do, like go to yard, canteen, talk to people on the phone. Now they have the tablets, so you can even video call now. Like what would I have given for that back in those days? But, by taking that away from everybody, it raises the temperature, in my opinion. And there's a lot of inmates that are not happy, if you ask me. Now, like I said, I don't know anybody in there. I'm not getting any information from anybody. So don't take it as that. I'm just talking as someone who's been there and what I remember. Being on lockdown, it's tense, especially during wartime, but it's not wartime now. So, being stuck in that cell 23 hours a day, having to be escorted to the shower twice a week. How would you feel as a civilian in the free world if you could only go take a shower twice a week? Like, I take a shower every day. You know what I mean? And there's ways to get around that as far as taking a bird bath in the cell. But who don't want to go have a shower? Who don't want to get a package from your loved ones? Who don't want to be able to write letters and receive letters and communicate with people that are living in the free world? So how long is this lockdown going to last? I don't know. The CDCR isn't saying anything. And, I don't know. They're not supposed to keep them locked down more than 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes. But, if you have an opinion on this, be sure to drop a comment. And please don't give me none of those dumb comments about, well, if they didn't break the law, they wouldn't be in there. They did. You know what I mean? I broke the law. I think I'm a pretty normal guy these days. But, just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that they should be cruel and unusual in the punishment, So, right now there's thousands of inmates that are locked down and had nothing to do with the reason they're being locked down. So, is group punishment the way? I don't know. I really don't know. Anyways, if you enjoy this sort of content, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. I think it's a pretty messed up situation, but, it's prison. And for those of you that are recently clean or thinking about getting clean, it's a great time to get clean. These prisons aren't getting any nicer. And, I think there were like 4 people unalived in the California system last week alone. People that went in there for whatever their charges may have been. But, now they're never coming home. Let that sink in for a minute. Remember, it's about surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and have similar goals to yours. If you want to go and get high every day, then hang around a bunch of people that go and get high every day. If you want to get clean and sober and make your life better, then hit a meeting and find some people that are living that sober life and see if you can figure out how to do what they're doing. Anyways, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, you know, sobriety is a good thing, guys. So, anyways, don't look at the mountain. Just start climbing.